Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. So in today's video I'm going to be announcing sort of a new series, it's sort of tactics series, hobby series. It's a bit of a mix. It's going to be called the Road to Trios. And essentially, what I mean by that, guys, is coming up the next couple of months is the regular Northern Warlords team tournament. And I've gone to pretty much every single one of these team tournaments for the last 5 years. Normally they did, for the first 3 years they did a normal team tournament where there was sort of 4 people on each team and you'd get put against other players, and it was fairly regular. You had team captains and stuff. But the last year and this year they mixed it up and they've done the trios tournament. I think it was actually these guys got wind of, or maybe it was just whisperings in the warp, but it's a tournament where you're only allowed to take 3 of each data sheet, essentially, or 3 of each type of unit. So what I mean by that is you can only take 3 infantry squads, you can only take 3 conscript squads, you can only take 3 Leman Russes, either tank commanders or regular Leman Russes. So yeah, it's really good, and obviously that's kind of weird because they did that last year and then this year they're doing it again. But it's almost like with the recent Games Workshop FAQ, did the tournament organisers know about this and they sort of tried to get people prepared for it last year? I don't know. With the big FAQ restricting things. But essentially, guys, think of it this way: it's like the big FAQ, except it's even more strict in terms of you're only allowed 3 infantry squads. You're only allowed 3 of any kind of Leman Russ. So I went to it last time. So I went to this tournament last year and I documented it in a series of sort of 2-3 minute videos before and after each game, and that's up on the YouTube channel now. Go and check it out. It's the tournament update series, which face some really good armies. And the reason I really like going to trios is there's a lot of alternative points available. So, some people would call it soft points, but they're not soft points because they actually affect a tournament score. So there's a lot of hobbying points available. I think it's something like, of the 1,000 points you could score throughout the 5 days or something, like 500 to 600 of them are for hobbying, and the other 500 to 400 are for actually winning games. And it made a huge difference last time we went because thanks to the team that I went with, we had quite fluffy armies, and all the background fluff to our forces working together actually meant that we ranked higher than people that actually beat us in that tournament. So, beat us in terms of when we faced them on the battlefield. So yeah, it's really important to have a good fluff behind your army, and if you are, let's say, it's not just fluff behind your army. So for me, it's my Mordian 50th Rifles. It's also fluff between the teammates. So if you're taking, Space Marines and Grey Knights and Imperial Guard, then you don't need to write huge amounts of fluff about that. That's natural. They're all Imperium. They're all working together. Maybe it's a crusade of some kind. But if you've got Necrons and Tyranids and Space Marines working together, then you have to really write like pages of fluff to justify why these 3 forces are coming together. And the tournament organizers will read that fluff, and then sort of like a month in advance they'll read all the fluff that's been submitted, and if they agree with it, then you get fluff points. And if it's just, well, these are the 3 most powerful, if people take the 3 most powerful factions and then write 1 sentence why they were working together, you will get 0 fluff points, just straight up, just for that category, for background fluff. So there's loads of conversion points. You've got to have if each unit has a conversion, at least 1 conversion, you get extra points. If there's a cohesive colour scheme throughout the army, if there's squad markings, there's loads of different things to get loads and loads of extra points. So last year, I know I'm waffling on here, guys, but I'm trying to give you an idea of the kind of tournament that it is. So last year I took the 50th Mordian Rifles and I got maximum points for my list before I even turned up. So I had maximum fluff points because I wrote like half a page on the background to the Mordian Rifles and the commanding officer and all that. So I got all the fluff points for that. And then I got maximum fluff points for my army list as well, because everyone was going on about how Cadians were like super powerful, and that if you were going to run a tournament competitive list, you want to run Cadians. And I turned up with Mordians through and through. It was all Mordians all the way, including Mordian Warlord trait and Mordian Relic. And the tournament organizer took one look at it and went, "Yeah, you are playing to the fluff." I even sent like a photograph in of my army, saying, "Look, I've got 120 Mordian infantry being used in this army." And they said, "Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You've got maximum points there for fluff." So that was nice. So that's the format of the tournament. Now, last time I went, the list I took was my sort of rule of 3 list. And what I took was 3 units of 30 conscripts, 3 infantry squads, 3 veteran squads, 3 tank commanders. And then I took, like, obviously, like, 3 commissars, 3 company commanders. And then I took 2 basilisks, and there was some other shit in there. Now, I've been playing a lot recently, and with my pure infantry again. And I did that video recently on, you know, making conscripts great again. And I am thinking of running a very similar list again this year. Now, obviously, last year conscripts were super powerful. They only lost 1 person to battle shock, and you know, because the commissars just execute a guy, and they were really good. Now, with commissars coming down in points, I am thinking of running 3 units of 30 conscripts again. Because last time I was running 3 units of 30 conscripts with a Lord Commissar in each one. And if I do exactly the same thing this time, it won't cost me any more points. So I really think it would be good. And because, and now tell me if I'm wrong, but I would have leadership 9 from the Lord Commissars plus 1 for being ranked up and being Mordian. So I'd have leadership 10 conscripts, which is pretty good. The way someone's explained it to me now, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you don't get the plus 1 leadership for regimental standards, but you do get the plus 1 leadership for being Mordian when combining it with the Lord Commissar. Put something down in the comments there if that is correct. That's how I understand it. Okay. Now I'm going to be taking, so that's 90 bodies on the table. That's a good core. Now then, what I want to take is some elite infantry in inverted commas, some proper line infantry. I'm thinking of taking 3 squads of veterans and 3 infantry squads. Again, my infantry squads, I'm going to take plasma gun and heavy bolter in each one of those squads, because I want to keep them cheap. But I know I've tried a lot of I've tried a lot of different combinations of my infantry squads. I've tried flamers, plasmas, snipers, melters. I've tried heavy bolters, autocannons, las cannons. I know las cannons fit with the go big or go home theme, but I kind of feel like my I need to shave some points off, because obviously things have got more expensive for the guard overall in general. So I was thinking of taking you know, heavy bolter plasma squads. We know they work, we know they're powerful. I was thinking of taking those. And then for my veteran squads, now last year I was able to run a mixture of plasma and melter in my veteran squads, but I can't do that anymore because of the points increases to plasma and melter to veterans. So instead I was thinking of running veteran squads with 3 grenade launchers and a las cannon in each squad. Now the reason I'm taking the las cannon on the veterans is because if I pay 20 points for las cannon in a veteran squad or 20 points for a las cannon infantry squad, there's no difference. I might as well put the las cannon in the ballistic skill 3+ unit. And the grenade launchers keep them pretty cheap. One of those veteran squads is only 95 points, and I've been using a lot of veterans with grenade launchers recently. In fact, I had 2 games today with this tournament practice list, I might add, and the grenade launcher veterans consistently did okay. They did okay. I was playing against Space Marines all weekend. I played against Blood Angels and I played against Black Templars, basically regular Marines. And I have to say, I did notice the grenade launchers were okay. They weren't ideal, but they weren't bad either. definitely helps them being on veteran squads. Definitely helps. So, and it keeps them cheap as well. So grenade launcher lads kind of veteran squads, I've used them for 4 games now, and in every single game I have not been disappointed. I've not been blown away by them, but I've not been disappointed, and I'm happy that my theory hammer is starting to play out well in the real world. So that would be my infantry. That would be 150 infantry. Now I was thinking of taking 2 Lord Commissars for the conscripts, and I'd put the 2 Lord Commissars in between the 3 conscript blobs, so that each blob would be covered by a Lord Commissar. Does that make sense? So I'd have a squad on the left, then a Lord Commissar, a squad in the middle, then a Lord Commissar, and then a squad on the right. Does that make sense? So that's leadership 10 Mordian conscripts. I did actually play test today with 2 games, taking the conscripts as Valhallan conscripts and replacing one of the Lord Commissars with an officer and giving him Petros Mark 45, and taking the other Lord Commissars with Warlord trait with a Warlord as my Warlord with the Warlord trait where you only take 1 plus D3 casualties. But I just didn't notice the difference. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I just didn't notice the difference. And what I actually noticed was that I was getting punished by the dice gods, and it felt wrong because I had like Mordians in one detachment and then Valhallans in another detachment, and it just felt wrong. It just felt, and I felt that it's going to sound crazy, guys, but we've talked about like the voodoo, haven't we? The concept of putting the voodoo. Well, it's almost like I self-voodooed because I was thinking to myself, this just doesn't feel right. You know, I've got Mordian Iron Guardsmen there, but they're not using the Mordian Iron Guard trait. It just doesn't feel right. So, what I was playing against, what I noticed with my conscripts is when they were getting shot at by a shooting army, because I played the Blood Angels as a choppy army and the Space Marines as a shooting army. What I noticed was when I was facing against the choppy army, I was absolutely dying. I really, really wished I'd had that 5+ Overwatch on my conscripts. It would have made such a big difference. Honestly, it would have made a huge difference gunning down the Blood Angels as they ran into combat with me. As it was, the Valhallans just died. They just got chopped to pieces. And when I was facing off against the shooty army, I didn't really, I took like 15 casualties from one of my squads, from one of my conscript squads. But I had leadership 10. So what I did is roll. All I did is like use 2 command points to auto pass, and it was fine. Or I would lose like 7, and I lost 10 or 15 conscripts, and I just used the 1d3, and then I rolled like a 1, and so I lost like 6 more conscripts. It wasn't a big deal, it wasn't a huge problem. It's like, okay, well, I've still got about 10 conscripts there. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't bother me. So what I found, it didn't make a huge difference. I didn't mind. I didn't really care about my conscripts. I'd lose like maybe 5 or 6 a turn from battle shock. It wasn't a big deal. Didn't matter to me. So yeah, I think I'm going to take Mordian conscripts because in shooting I won't lose that many to battle shock, and in close combat I'd rather have the 5 to hit on the Overwatch. And thirdly, it's fluff. It's fluff wise. In this tournament, having fluff really helps you score. So I'm going to have lots of Mordian conscripts, and then 2 Mordian infantry squads, 2 Mordian veteran squads. Now that's 1,000 points. Okay, so that's like, I should say that the tournament is broken down into, you play 3 doubles games and 3 singles games. So I'll play 3 games where I'll have 1,000 points of my own army and 1,000 points of an allied player with me. We'll be playing a doubles game, and then the next game I'll be playing on my own, 2,000 points versus 2,000 points. That's why it's called trios. There's 3 players in each team. 1 on each team face off against 1 on each team, and the other 2 face off against the other 2. That's why it's called trios. So that's my 1,000 points. That's 150 infantry. And the point is I've discussed this with my teammates. That was the tournament practice today. They're going to bring, one of them's going to bring all choppy Blood Angels, and so the guard will take a bit of a beating in the first turn, whilst the Blood Angels do a turn 2 deep strike, and the guard will clear out some screens. That worked really well. And the second army, the Space Marines, they're going to go all shooty to give the guard some long range fire support. So we'll have There's going to be like a Land Raider, there's going to be like a Storm Talon, a Contemptor, a Laser, a Lascannon Razorback, loads of long range shooting to be able to provide the Guardsmen with some actual long range punch. At the moment I'm only running like 3 Lascannons. So that's my 1,000 points, 150 infantry plus 2 Lord Commissars, 2 regular Commissars and 2 company commanders. And then, because then I'll have a leadership 9 on the regular infantry with the regular commissars, and I'll have leadership 10 on the conscripts with the Lord Commissars, and then I'll have enough orders to order around all the veterans and stuff. Now, when it comes to my 2,000 points, this is a little trickier. Okay, my 2,000 points, I'm thinking of taking 3 tank commanders. Okay, because they're 225 points each. And considering I'm only allowed to take 3 of any Leman Russ, whether that's a tank commander or a regular Leman Russ, I figured I'd better off take 3 of the best Leman Russes I can get my hands on. So I'm taking 3 tank commanders. Now the reason about, and I'm taking the gold standard, the classic Leman Russ, battle cannon, las cannon, 2 heavy bolters. Good all round, take all comer units, 72-inch range. Lots of battle cannons, lots of shots. It really gives my army some long range punch. So it gives me lots of DACA, but also because I'm hitting on 3s, it gives me some mitigation against armies with the -1 to hit. Because I'll be hitting on 4s rather than hitting on 3s, or rather than hitting on 5s if it's a regular Russ. And also, so that gives me mitigation. Also, that each one of those tank commanders can order themselves reroll 1s to hit, which is really important. Now, just need a quick drink. So that's what I'm taking for sure. Then it becomes a little trickier, and I can't quite decide how I want to play it with the other remaining sort of 300 points, 325 points that I've got to spend. I was thinking of taking 3 basilisks. So I'd have 3 Leman Russes, tank commanders, and 3 basilisks, and 150 infantry in total. Basilisks are strength 9, they're AP -3, they do D3 damage for each wound, they're really powerful. And, you know, that's nasty. That's really nasty. The thing is that I only really own 2 basilisks, and I don't really want to buy another basilisk just for a tournament. Now I do have a Griffin, and Forge World is allowed at this tournament. 25% of your list is allowed to be Forge World. So I was thinking I could take a Griffin, which is 78 points, and the Griffin is like the basilisk, 2d6 for your number of shots, pick the highest, and it's strength 6, it's AP -1, and it ignores cover, and it's D3 damage. That's not bad for 78 points. It's not bad at all. And on top of that, I could afford a squad of 3 mortars. Or I can drop a basilisk and take 3 squads of mortars as well. That's essentially what it comes down to, guys. Out of that combination, which would you take? 3 basilisks, 2 basilisks, a griffin, and a squad of mortars, or 2 basilisks and 3 squads of mortars? I honestly can't decide. I feel like I have quite a bit of anti-tank, quite a bit of anti-infantry already with the conscripts, but I just don't know if it's enough. You know, I have quite a few points left over. You know, I still have like 30 points left over. I could definitely take another company commander and put him with the mortars. I just don't know, guys. I know it would make sense for me to run Valhallan conscripts, Mordian infantry, and Cadian artillery artillery long range section. But that would lose me a lot of fluff points, number 1. And number 2, it just wouldn't be right for the 50th Mordian Rifles, and I just feel like I would feel wrong doing it. It wouldn't feel right, and therefore I wouldn't play to my best of my ability. And like I said, it would lose me tournament points. That's the big thing. It would they'd take one look at that and said, you've just cherry picked the best regiments there, haven't you? Right, 0 fluff points. Or if they say you've gone full Mordians like you did last year, right on. So yeah, I can't decide. What would you guys think? 3 basilisks, 2 basilisks, a griffin, and 3 mortars, or 2 basilisks and 9 mortars in total? Tell me what you guys think. Now, for this tournament, I've decided I've got like 2 months. For this tournament, I've decided I'm going to use it as an excuse to get the 50th Mordian rifles fully repainted and rebased. I'm probably going to do a very similar scheme to what I currently do. I like the red and tan. The red and tan and white is meant to be like a combination of you know, the classic red and white of the of like the Praetorian sort of old style Zulu British soldiers, and then the tan is obviously when, you know, World War One we had like khaki, so it's meant to be like a combination of the two, like interwar, like between the two. I do quite like it. I do think the tan and red does work nicely. And I like the white as well. It offsets it. So I think I'll probably be redoing. I'll be doing it very similar to that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to rebase them all. I've already got all the slaughter bases that I need. I just have 100 slaughter bases just hanging around. One advantage is always stockpiling. Whenever you're seeing a good deal, just buying 100 of those bases for £15. I did that like 3 years ago. I stockpiled on them when I saw a good eBay deal. So I'm going to rebase them all. I'm going to repaint them all, and I'm going to redo all my Cadians. I'm going to cut all the heads off. I've already done it on 30 of them. I'm going to replace the heads with Anvil Industry parade cap heads, so they're all going to look like Mordians. And what I'm going to have is I'm going to have my Cadians as my Mordian assault brigades, so they're all going to have like body armor and stuff, and they're sort of more about bayonet charging people, so that's why they just charge people down. And then my regular line infantry are going to all have the proper Mordian you know, uniforms. Although it would be weird, because then I'm going to have like 90 Cadian models and only 60 Mordian Iron Guard models, when I could easily do it where I've got 90 Mordian Iron Guard riflemen. I could easily, you know, run the conscripts in the Mordian Iron Guard uniforms. I haven't decided yet. They're all going to get repainted anyway, so it doesn't matter either way. So there we go, guys. But I'd like some thoughts on that. So overall, if you've got time, leave some comments regarding the artillery section. How would you configure that? And leave some comments as well on which way round would you do it. Would you have 90 of the metal Mordians and have the Cadians as the Mordian like regular infantry, or have the Cadians with the Mordian Mordian parade caps as the conscripts, the Cadians with the conscripts, and the regular infantry would be the Mordians? Which way around would you do it? I'm not sure which way around I'm going to do it, to be honest. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you'll leave lots and lots of comments. Tell me what you think. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.